I want to get to Reza Sayah. He is a journalist. He is based in Tehran. He is special correspondent for PBS NewsHour. He's also a former colleague, a former CNN correspondent. Reza, I know you live in Tehran. This is home for you. And now the war has come to your home. It's incredibly rare for anyone to be able to get the story of what's happening there on the ground. You know, today, Reza, we see these horrific images. One building, all that's left of it, it's just been completely destroyed after what appeared to be a strike. The destruction everywhere. And I know that you're not getting siren warnings, that things can happen next door to someone where maybe someone in the IRGC lived, and then you find out because it's hit. Can you just explain what's happening on the ground right now?
I'll explain it by saying that it's awful. It's awful, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate war, and I wish somehow this would end. And I have to think there has to be a way to make it end, because people are suffering. And in the view of many, they're suffering unnecessarily. I've seen some terrible things, airstrikes every day, that familiar sound of a jet flying over, and seconds later, you hear a large explosion and the plumes of smoke. I live here. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and the day where the initial strike happened that hit the supreme leader, she was with me, and I heard this earth shaking boom, and I knew what it was, and I put her in my car, and I raced to the northern part of the town. She's away from Tehran now. She's along the Caspian Sea with her mother, where she's safe, but I miss her very much. I want to hold her, and she's safe, but many other people are not, innocent people. And I can't tell you about the gruesome images that I've seen. Men, women, and children, innocent civilians in their homes, in their cars, in their motorcycles, and these airstrikes come and they're ripped to shreds. And in so many instances where people are being pulled out of the rubble. Children, saw that school that was hit, and that these people have nothing to do with this conflict. And my heart breaks for them. And my heart, as an American, I mean, the Iranian-American, it breaks for Americans too, because they don't deserve to be viewed as someone who supports what many believe is a war machine. So I'm speaking from the heart, and I appreciate you listening to me, but there has to be a way to make this end. As journalists, we have to hold these people accountable, and we can't let these individuals start a war without them clarifying why. Why is it necessary?
So, Reza, when you talk to people there, and as this is continuing, how do they view the United States? I mean, I guess I'm asking you this. Can you separate it from how they view Israel? But right now, how do they view the United States?
Well, first of all, there's 90 million Iranians with 90 million voices. And one of the things that's sometimes amusing being a correspondent is someone comes to me and says, what are people thinking? And I don't know what 90 people are thinking. What I can tell you is, some people don't like this government. They don't mind that the supreme leader is gone, and they celebrated his death. But there's millions of Iranians who are mourning his death. They loved him. He was their spiritual leader. And I think most people, millions of others, are just terrified. They feel helpless, and they want this to end. And I think in general, Iranians adore Americans. They're a lot of them are Americanized themselves. They can relate to the culture. It's the government they have an issue with. It's the government.
So, Reza, when there's so much discussion now trying to understand, has there been a new supreme leader elected? What is the status of that? Who's in charge in Iran. You know, we hear about from things that the foreign minister Aragji has said, which have made it clear that military units, some of them are operating on pre-agreed to plans, but basically in isolation, and that they're pursuing those plans. And there's a real question about who's running the country. Sitting where you're sitting right now in Tehran, do you know who's running the country?
Well, all you can go by is what the power structure is telling you. I think politically, it's the interim leadership council that's running the country. And then you have the military structure. And they've made it clear that there is no central command at this point. And that's done intentionally. Their strategy is something that's called a decentralized mosaic strategy. Which is an approach where you have in each province, forces in each province granted autonomy and independence. So if one of them is neutralized, the other ones keep going. In other words, there is no head of the snake to cut off. And that's how they're explaining that they're managing to launch all these missiles and drones and U.S. assets and U.S. bases in the region. So that's what they're saying. That's how they're leading the battle in the theater for the leadership.
So, you know, we're just showing images that we do out of Tehran, dayside images, Reza, taken during the day of some of the smoke. I think it's indelibly marked now in anyone listening's mental picture when you talk about someone on a motorcycle being ripped to shreds. The United States is investigating a strike on a girls' school. And according to Iranian state media, it's killed more than 100. I haven't seen that disputed. It was a horrific event. It was talked about today at a press conference by the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and here's what he said.
All I can say is that we're investigating that. We, of course, never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that.
What do you know, Reza, about what happened there?
I don't know much other than the first day of these airstrikes. This school with more than 150 schoolgirls aged 7 to 12 was the target of an airstrike, and it obliterated the school. Apart from that, we don't know if this was intentional. There's reports that this school was in a sprawling military base, and that's often the case in parts of Iran. There's sprawling military bases where people live there, they go to school there, there's supermarkets. Is that what happened? Did they locate this place as a military base and they accidentally hit the school? I don't know, but the bottom line is, more than 160 schoolgirls, many of them going to school pictured with hijabs, chadors, and they're just gone. And the scenes of the funeral were just terrible, gut-wrenching scenes. And it's very likely, based on my experience as a journalist, that when these attacks happened and governments say they're going to investigate it, unfortunately, usually no one is held accountable.
Reza, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Please, I know it sounds trite to say, but please stay safe, and thank goodness for your wife and daughter that they are. Thanks.
Thank you.